Hey everyone, you're listening to Ankur Warikoo on Woice with Warikoo. On this podcast, I talk to you about entrepreneurship, how to grow in life, manage personal finances, handle failures, and a lot more things that just come to my mind. The episode begins. In this episode, I wanted to talk about personal finance, but not make it boring. So basically, extend how personal finance transcends personal finance and enters into our life beyond just money. And for that, I want to talk about specifically two things that are often used when somebody's going through a selection of stocks that they have to invest in. And these two matrices are called alpha and beta. Alpha is the order of growth that a stock experiences relative to the index. So let's say in the context of India, there is a national stock exchange, which is considered to be the default index of the country. And let's say it grows at 15% year on year for the last 10 years. And if this is a particular stock that's grown at 20% year on year in the last 10 years, then the alpha of that stock is 5, because that's 20 minus 15. If there's another stock that's grown at 10% year on year, then the alpha of that stock is minus 5, because it's 10 minus 15, which is the index. But that's half the story. Most of us tend to focus on the growth of the stocks or the degrowth or the lack of growth in the stocks, and that's where we stop. And that's why the second metric, which is beta, becomes important. Because beta is the measure of volatility or risk in that stock. As compared to the index, which goes up and down, up and down, up and down every day, every hour, every second, your stock will also go up and down. And compared to the index, is that more volatile or less volatile? So if the stock has a beta of 1, it means it's exactly as volatile as the index. So when the index goes up by 5%, the stock also tends to go up by 5%. If the index goes down by 5%, the stock also tends to go down by 5%. If the beta instead is not 1 but 2, that means it has a multiple of 2 impact on the volatility. So if the index goes up by 5%, the stock tends to go up by 10%. And if the index falls down by 5%, the stock falls down or tends to fall down by 10%, which is a beta of 2. If it's a beta of 0.5, then for every 5% growth in the index, the stock only grows by about 2.5%. But then for every fall of 5% in the index, the stock falls by 2.5%. And you're wondering, why is this podcast about finance? I don't want to hear it. I don't like maths. Well, there's a reason why. Because go back to the podcast episode name, Stocks and Life. And that's where the beauty of alpha and beta come in. In life, we take a lot of decisions. Decisions about whether to continue with what we did in college or not. Decisions about whether we should continue in our job or look for another one. Decisions about whether you should get into a relationship with this new person or not. Become friends with this new person or not. Whether you should buy a house or not. Whether you should buy this car or not. Whether you should move countries or not. And all of that is largely taken on the basis of its supposed alpha. We take decisions in life based on how we perceive the growth or the outcome or the positive result of that decision working out for us. So if we want to change a job, why are we doing it? Largely because we see an alpha attached to it. That alpha could be in the form of money growth, could be in the form of learning growth, could be in the form of responsibility growth, or whatever is it that we fancy, but from an alpha perspective. If you want to become friends with someone or enter into a new relationship, that's also alpha. Because it's growth. You will become a better person. You will have somebody to talk to. You won't be lonely. You will have somebody to share your life with, etc., etc., etc. If you want to change countries, then why are you doing it? Again, alpha. Your standard of living might increase. Your money might increase. Your exposure might increase, so on and so forth. All of those things are just alpha. And it's unfortunate that most decisions that we make in life are centered around alpha without taking into cognizance the role of beta, the risk involved, the volatility involved. I'm not suggesting that you live a life without any risk, because that's an impossible life to live. No one can live that. But the smart life to live is not just focus on the high alpha because it may come with high beta. Instead, focus on the high alpha that comes with low beta. In other words, focus on what can give you the maximum possible growth with the least amount of risk that you can take with it. All of life is about maximizing alpha while minimizing beta. The unfortunate thing is we either try to eliminate beta or ignore it, and that doesn't work. Let me give you some examples. Most people try to eliminate beta, and because of that, we tend to settle for low alpha. The best example of that are fixed deposits. Why do people even park their money in fixed deposits, knowing very well that that doesn't even beat inflation? Every single year, your tax adjusted returns are destroying the value of your money because it's low beta. It's no risk. You get the exact same return every single year without any volatility attached. So you love that. And you're suddenly willing to trade that and not be worried about the alpha. Wrong choice to make. Why do people settle for low alpha with high beta? These are people who are willing to take unbelievable risks, I would argue unreasonable risks, because their assessment of alpha is wrong. They thrive themselves on the risk, they thrive themselves on the adrenaline that they will feel or experience, but they very rarely put the effort required behind measuring what could be the right amount of alpha. Why do people go after high alpha, high beta? Why do people invest so much in random cryptocurrencies knowing that they could lose all their money in the hope that they could become a millionaire? Well, because they are drawn in by the high alpha and they'll be like, oh, this stupid coin, this meme coin, this coin that doesn't have any intrinsic value is going to make me a millionaire and I will put all my money behind it without measuring what could be its beta or its volatility or its risk. And it's only the fourth quadrant or the fourth way of living life, which is high alpha, low beta, that makes all the difference. The most successful people that you would know of are the ones who are always optimizing for maximum alpha while minimizing beta. A great example of that is someone who would want to work on a passion project, a side gig, but also recognize that the financial stability they get through their current job cannot be denied. So they will stay in their job, make sure that that pays the bills, and their nights, their weekends, their holidays, all of that free time is going to be devoted towards the side gig. And over a period of time, 1 year, 2 years, they will break out and they will make shit happen for themselves. That will be the high alpha, but it came at much lower beta than would have otherwise if they would have just quit their job and followed their passion, which is what most people will suggest you do because that's hashtag motivation. Doesn't work. Stocks can teach you something valuable about life. And this is what it is. Live life with the highest level of alpha and the lowest level of beta. And if you were to think of every single decision in your life through this lens, you'll be a changed person. I guarantee you that. All the best. Thank you for listening to this episode of Woice with Warikoo. To be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to subscribe and follow the show on this app right now. Also, don't forget to rate and review the show because that just feels nice. Thank you.